being born within us as well at the same time. So I don't know about you, but for me this time of year, I always noticed Guy nailed the word last week, melancholy. There's a little bit of I just noticed within myself a wanting to hold on to summer, a wanting to hold on to the warmth and the long days of light and the more playful kind of, energy of it. And so just noticing that, I'm able to just realize, there's no need to resist anything, for God's sake. You're not going to resist the seasons. They come and they go. And to, breathe in and move into whatever the next cycle or whatever the next season is. So there's a lot going on, I think, within our own beings. This is a time of transformation. We're being called to something higher. And in order to make room for that, we're having to let go of what no longer serves. So perhaps there's old stuff resurfacing. And Reverend Guy also said, we can't transmute what we don't take responsibility for, which I thought was a loaded statement right there. Well, what does that really mean? And for me, that just means a recognizing that if I'm upset or triggered or on it with someone, that's my own reaction. And rather than blaming and projecting and judging what's going on out there, that I own what's going on in here. And that I take some breaths. And that I'm with whatever is going on in there. And A Course of Miracles says, we're seldom upset for the reason we think. And I usually find that as I sit in process and breathe into whatever energy is built up inside me over my reaction, that I get led somewhere completely different and away from what the original incident was. Does that make sense? It's taking me to a deeper wound. It's taking me to some unhealed thing from the past. And so everything is an opportunity, and we have lots of opportunities right now to practice expanding and growing and being with ourselves. The Sufi mystic Hazrat Inyat Khan says, the solution to the problem of the day is the awakening of the consciousness of humanity to the divinity within. That's what's happening. We're waking up more and more. It's all within us already, that infinite intelligence that keeps the flowers blooming, our fingernails growing, our bodies breathing, the seasons and cycles coming and going, and the planets spinning. This universal intelligence is deep within each and every one of us. And it's not out there. There's nothing we need to do to go get it. We come from spirit, just like a sunbeam comes from the sun, just like a branch comes from a tree or a wave comes from the ocean. We're from spirit. And we have within us the full potentiality to be the light, to be the love, to be the peace, to be the joy we're born to be, despite external circumstances and conditions. It's the truth of who we are. And so, it's what all the great saints knew, right? They reached that, the peace of God, they called it, the peace of the divine. The peace that surpasses all understanding. Many of the saints suffered deeply. Many of the mystics too. I think all of them had to go through what we call the dark night of the soul in order to be in the luminosity of the light. This is a universe of peace. It's a universe of joy and great love and great beauty. I think it was Edgar Mitchell, who was the sixth man to walk on the moon, had an epiphany. I don't know if you remember this, but he had an epiphany. As he looked out, He said, this is an intelligent universe of unity and peace. As he saw heavenly objects orbiting and spinning and circulating in perfect union. This is a peaceful planet. And Wayne Dyer says, I've been revisiting the Wayne Dyer book. There's a spiritual solution to every problem. So that's where some of my information is coming from today. And he says, within each object, this same peaceful harmony exists. And this includes the earth as well as every cubic inch of space on the planet, in every single object and living creature. Peace is the essence of our universe. It is God at work, at play, and everywhere in between. It is infinite love. And we, as I said, are capable of this peace. We're capable of bringing this peace to every moment. I think if we make a conscious decision, set our intention every day, because that book, the book he wrote is based on the prayer of St. Francis, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. That's an intention right there. So we start our day with that. How can I be an instrument, a vehicle of peace today? Let me practice. And it is a practice. It is a practice. But we place our consciousness, because the new creation is a new consciousness that has to be born. The solutions to what's going on in the world cannot be found in the world of form right now, because we can't solve the problem with the same energy or consciousness with which it was created. We have to go higher. There's a spiritual solution within it. And so we change our consciousness, and then life changes. And as Rev Guy said last week, it's not magical thinking. It doesn't happen overnight. Things don't necessarily change the moment our consciousness changes, because the physical is always the last place to manifest and have things show up. But as we live in those higher realms, as we look for spiritual solutions, we are lifted. Life may not be easier, but we'll be vibrating at a higher frequency. We'll be feeling more open-hearted, more love, more faith, more hopeful, more peaceful, more joyful. And imagine more and more people feeling all of that. Eventually, we're already seeing the seeds of it happening. We're already feeling the stirrings of a new consciousness happening. Our job is just to get out of the way and let this happen through and as us. So we're out of balance, and balance is a quality of spirit. When we have strong feelings of hate towards anyone or any group, we're out of balance. When we belittle people for their beliefs or way of being, let's breathe, take a breath, right? Get to practice. Make me an instrument, Spirit. Let me show up as peace today, just because that's who I want to be on the planet. That's the energy I want to bring forth. And there's no judgment when we don't feel peace. There's no judgment when we slip into judgment or criticism or blame or rage or whatever. We're human beings having human experiences. But when we're out of alignment, I think the calling is to stop, to pause, to notice. I'm not being such an instrument of peace right now. What's going on? And then breathe back in. I think peace comes the more we can move into acceptance of processing life as it is rather than as we think it needs to be. accepting. This is what's before us now. This is what our soul signed up for, this life, these people who are in our life, everything that's going on. We're here by divine appointment. There are no mistakes in this infinite intelligence of the universe. And we are at a crucial part in our evolution, I think. And so we rise up. And Wayne Dyer has a little analogy that he uses, which I find helpful. He says we can imagine we have two sockets hanging from our what are these, hips, hanging from our hip. And we can, when we plug that socket into the physical realm only, we're plugged into the energy of the conditions, of the circumstances, of the turmoil, of the chaos, of all of that stuff. And we can unplug from that, and we can plug that second socket in, and it's in the realm of spirit. It's where spiritual solutions lie. So we can imagine, if we're not feeling that peace, that love, that beauty, let me unplug from that which I'm attached to. Let me plug into a higher realm. I want to share that I actually used this for myself. I had some family stuff. I have stuff going on with loved ones right now. And stuff going on with, I won't get into too much detail. My mom is 92 and lives in England, and my sister and niece kind of take care of her, and there's history there with my mom and my sister, and there's a lot of upset. And I was dealing with it because my role is the peacemaker. My role is to listen to everybody and try and bring everyone together and this and that, and I was caught up in it. And I was caught up in the sadness, and caught up in the, I don't know what to do, and caught up in, should I get on a plane and go there, and all of that. And it wasn't getting me anywhere. And I thought, let me unplug. What if I just unplugged from all of these circumstances and all these different voices in my head and all the what ifs? What would it be like to plug into spirit right now? And it was miraculous. It was a conscious decision. And what I got was, forgiveness and peace and love and divine trusting. And that I don't need to be in my role anymore. That's me plugged into the physical, the role of fixer, the role of peacemaker, the role of making it all okay for everyone, because if I'm too caught up in that, I'm not my authentic self. Not just my authentic self showing up. So I prayed. I prayed for forgiveness. I prayed for peace in the family. I prayed for divine right order and all of that, and I felt it, and I felt lifted, and I came out of the story. Because the more we stay in our story about things, the more upset we get. Ever notice that? And then they did that. And then and she said, and he said, and I can't believe. That keeps us in the story, in the physical only. I prayed. And the next day, or when I talked to my mom, she'd had a shift. She'd had a shift. She was smiling when I saw her on FaceTime. She had had a shift. She had come back to peace. So this stuff works. We decide, I'm going to be a deliverer of peace. I am going to bring a countenance and an energy of peace and love and understanding in the midst of turmoil or chaos or disagreement or whatever it may be, and that will make a difference. That will calm things. Thomas Merton says, if you yourself is at peace, if you are yourself at peace, then there is at least some peace in the world. Then share your peace with everyone, and everyone will be at peace. Why not? What the world needs now, right, is peace and love and joy. And the other way we get to practice peace, as Wayne Dyer says, is by honoring our greatest teachers. And who are our greatest teachers? The people that annoy us the most. The people that set us off. We all know who they are in our life usually. Often close beings. the who or what sets us off into a frenzy. Because they are here. And we have drawn them in to show us those parts in ourselves that are still not at peace. It's an opportunity. Have you heard the story about Sam at the ashram? Anyone? Okay. Well, you have, Paul? I don't know if anyone else. Anyway, I'm going to tell it. Whether you've heard it, we'll hear it again. So there's a guru. I can't remember which guru tells this story. But there's a guy called Sam at the ashram. There's, a community of people living at the ashram. And Sam drove everybody nuts. They're supposed to be vegetarian, and he was found eating bacon, behind the kitchen. They're supposed to be quiet when they're meditating, and he's always moving around and making sound, and he eats too much, and he's just a general disturbance. And everybody is fed up with him and irritated and annoyed with him. So one day the guru goes into town, and the community in the ashram, they get together and they're like, he's got to go. He's ruining our peace. We're here to be peaceful. We're here to be loving. We're here to adhere to the codes and principles, and he's got to go. And so a bus comes along, and they're all kind of gather around Sam, and they're putting him on the bus, telling him he has to go. And at the same time, the guru comes back. And he's like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, we're sending Sam off. He's too much of a distraction. And the guru says, you can't do that. He's on staff. There by divine appointment. Just to push our buttons is that person, right? So we get to practice. Who are the Sams in our ashram? Who are they? What are they? Those things. And we choose peace. It's a conscious decision. Course of Miracles says, I can choose peace rather than this. We can. It's a conscious decision to be a peacemaker in this world. Take a breath. So we're part of the solution and not part of the problem when we're choosing peace. We're not adding to the separation, the hatred, the turmoil. We're being part of something else. And so how do we practice? Because I know we all probably really want to be peaceful. I think there's certain things. I just want to go through a couple. And I think the first thing is always we have to make peace with ourselves. The law of circulation says we can't give what we don't have. If we don't have peace within us, if we haven't made peace with ourselves, to finally just decide we're not holding on to any guilt, shame, anything, any way that we don't see ourselves as the bright, magnificent, beautiful, loving expressions of spirit that we are, to make peace within our own being. So we are filled with that. We have no judgment against ourselves. We are not blaming ourselves for anything. We choose to not criticize ourselves. We're at peace. We know we're doing the best that we can. We know that the greatest healer is love. And that applies to giving to ourselves that love. So we practice. And I invite all of us just to make that decision, the power of intention. My intention is to be at peace with myself. Sets all sorts of things into motion. I think the second thing is we notice, and we have to be witnesses to our own self, have the witness consciousness that can look at ourselves and notice, where am I blaming the outside external circumstances for taking my peace away or for me not being peaceful? We notice. Let's take a breath. How often do we maybe say, I was having a lovely, peaceful day until I got that email, until they called me, until I got cut off on the freeway, until I looked at my bank account, you name it, right? Until someone seemed to not like what I said, until I experienced disapproval, whatever it is. There's nothing out there that can take what is innately ours, the peace of spirit within us. It's an internal deal. So we notice when we're off track, and we bring ourselves back again and again and again. See if there's anything else. Becoming a peacemaker. For it is in the giving that we receive. Again, the law of circulation, keeping our circuits open. As we give peace, we receive peace. As we receive love, we give love. It's a circle. And life is about energy and flow. And so we have to look at, with love, where am I blocked? Where are things not flowing? Where am I not receiving fully? Where am I not giving fully? And then we practice thinking peace, because we know the basis of our spirituality, our philosophy is change your thinking, change your life, right? Our thoughts represent our reality. We're always creating. Furthermore, what we focus on expands. Energy flows where attention goes. Choosing peace, again, is to stand up and be an intentional peacemaker. I choose peace, and therefore I choose to see peace. We can choose to put our attention and our energy on all the ways life is not peaceful right now. And it doesn't mean we deny it, because we can't. Or we can choose to see peace, the wonderful things that are happening. We only have to be in nature for a few minutes, do we not, to feel the beauty and to feel the peace of spirit. So we become unshakable. Again, a little quote from Wayne Dyer. Sorry. So when we're trapped in a non-peaceful mind, we're trapped in a non-peaceful world. And that comes back to that beautiful, actually, quote that you read, Andrea, at the beginning from Gabor Mate. Do you have it? Is it up here? Never mind, it's okay. I thought I'd read it again, because it's perfect. What our mind creates. Anyway, Wayne Dyer says, when you remember yourself that for every act of evil, there are 1,000 acts of kindness, you put your thoughts back on peace. When you stop someone who is relating yet another disaster story and change the tone to something more loving, you become an instrument of peace. When you stop yourself from rehashing the same old scenes with new characters, never done that, have you? No. Sorry. Concerning accidents, crime, poverty, mistreatment, and disasters of all kinds, and you put your mind on making these things disappear, you become an instrument of peace. So we are the ones. We're here now. Spirit, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Spirit, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in the giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. We give out that which we are seeking. Whatever it is we feel we're not getting from the world, from life, from our partners, our family, our community, our friends, we be that thing. We start giving it. When I look at the world right now, the thing I see I need to give to it because I'm not feeling so much of it coming at me from outside there is peace. To be that. So let us pray. Let us take a breath and feel into that peaceful heart. That know that creative intelligence of peace, of love, of joy, of harmony, of wholeness and freedom is spirit, the divine source energy, infinite love, quantum field, call it what we want. We remember this morning that it's all there is, all there ever was, and all there ever will be, and that it is the greatest power, and that it shines forth as all of creation. Just like all that the oak tree needs is the seed of just like a seed that blossoms into its full potential. The divine God seed within us knows only one thing, and that is to blossom into its full potential. And that's what's happening within us right now. There's a stirring in the world. There's a stirring in the universe, and we are the universe. So that stirring is happening within us. And it may be a little uncomfortable, and we may feel a little shaky right now. And we may feel a little fear and resistance or whatever, and all of it's okay, because what we know is we are being catapulted into being beings of light, beings of love, beings of joy, beings of peace. So we practice aligning with the highest truths, practicing that of which I've spoken today, noticing when we're out of alignment, forgiving ourselves, making peace with everything as best we can, stepping out, being the peacemaker in the world, being a light of spirit. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the myriad opportunities that we all have to practice right now. Everything divinely ordained. And I'm grateful because when we see things as an opportunity, the challenging and painful and difficult things maybe become a little easier. We're able to welcome them a little more because they're not obstacles. because the obstacle is the way. And this is not a punishing universe. It's a universe of expansion and growth, and that's what it's wanting of us, these sentient beings that we are. We're needing expansion. We're needing to be enlightened. We're needing to be homo luminous, beings of light. So I give thanks for all of it. That which seems peaceful and that which seems not peaceful. That which seems loving and that which seems unloving, knowing it's all part of the dance. Grateful that we can choose peace every moment of every day with our conscious intention. And with a grateful heart, I release my word. I release all of our highest intentions to the very soul of the universe, the divine feminine herself, who has said yes, yes, with great ecstasy and great joy, yes to it all. And we know that it's already done in the mind of spirit. There is a pattern of perfection, of peace, of love, of kindness, of joy, of solution, and of resolution. And all we have to do is align with it for the magic and the miracles and the transmutation and the transformation to happen. And choosing peace consciously is one of the ways we do this. So with a grateful, grateful, grateful heart, I let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.